Welcome to Talking in Stations. It is Matterall here. We're going to do Newsday with a special guest. Kenneth Feld is here with us today. How's it going, Kenneth?
How's it going? Good evening.
We also have Sully hanging out with him. You know him from our long hours of live coverage.
Hey guys, how's it going?
All right, today is a very big day for news. Also, Gregorian, sorry, I didn't see you in there. Gregorian's in here. Say hi, Gregorian.
Hi.
Okay, good. Today is an important day because I don't know if you remember, the cores are coming up really soon. Let's get to the top of that. Quantum core time, which is on the 12th tomorrow. So you need to core up all the structures that don't have cores at this time. And after this point, every structure that is, actually, it would be unfair to say that all structures should have cores after this date, because you can choose not to put a core into the structure and just lose some of the function of it. We'll talk about that in just a minute with Kenneth. But the deadline is, I believe it's tomorrow. Is it the 12th or is it downtime the 12th?
It's downtime tomorrow.
Okay, so you have all day tomorrow to core up your structures if you want them to continue as they are now. And okay, so Kenneth, let's actually get into this with Sully as well and Gregorian. Kenneth, what's going on with these cores? Why did they put these into the game? What are they about? What do they do?
The reason that they were added was pretty simple. People were unhappy with the rewards for killing your structure. So, and it also made people put some skin in the game to limit the spam. So they put these in so that there's an additional sunk cost when you anchor a structure. This would limit the spam, and also if someone attacks it and kills it, it's a guaranteed drop. So the 700,000 for a rate, or 700 million, I'm sorry, for a rate. If someone kills that rate, that's a guaranteed drop. They can loot it, and they can divide up to 700 million amongst everyone who killed it. I think the keep star is like 30 billion, something like that. Yeah, 30 billion for a keep star. So if a keep star is killed and it's cored, then that's a guaranteed 30 billion for whoever loots it, not necessarily the attackers, but whomever loots it and gets away with it.
Yeah, so here's a price list that we're looking at now. And so Astra House is 600 million, and then it goes all the way up to Sotio, 10 billion. Keepstar actually is the highest with 30 billion there. But an Asbel is another 3 billion. That's considerable. A Tatara is 3.5 billion. A Fortizar is 4 billion. So this is going to add to the cost of dropping a structure, isn't it?
I just spent 65 billion 3 days ago on my own personal structures.
Oh my God, that's a lot. But you're an industrialist. We should have said that earlier. You're somebody that has personal structures and you use them to make things in large scales. All right, so that's 100% loot drop. So now your structure is going to be, if you core it, right? If you put a core into it, you can't put any new structures down without doing this. So the only structures...
That's been in the game since 13 October.
Right. That's why I didn't want to say all structures have been cored, but but what we're talking about here are the ones that were grandfathered in. After this point, they will no longer be grandfathered in. However...
Right, yeah, tomorrow at downtime, they're no longer grandfathered. And if they're not cored, you lose tether, you lose refit, and you lose repair. But it does not affect any timers. You only lose the ability to tether. So like if you undock from an uncored structure, it's essentially the same as NPC station.
Yeah, with a little more danger, if I recall, you can't... you don't have any invulnerability when you undock. Yeah, I'm sorry, if you're targeted or if you have a timer, you can't dock up. right?
That's the same even with tether. If you are scrammed, you can't dock even if tether is available.
Right. But an NPC station, you could kind of hang out in front of the station and dock up, even if you had, even if you were, what, pointed? Like, what's the difference?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. If you're pointed on an NPC station, you can just dock and say, "Ha, screw you."
Right.
Call no joy.
And
But
you could
cannot
also
do that
refit
on
your
a-
ships in most NPC stations outside of Pochvin.
Yeah, the major thing that's going to impact whether structures get called is that repair and refit.
Mm-hmm.
Tether is a bit of it's a utility, but it's not a necessity. But I know many Fortizars that are in, say, Curse or Great Wildlands that we rely on for repair and refit over, or at least have over the last few periods of months. So without that, it kind of makes it so that structure is essentially just a place we can go to hide ourselves and like make sure our ship is safe, but without the ability to repair, it really does hinder things. So that's the major two services that I think are the most option. Tethering is a utility. I know of at least 2 or 3 dozen Athanors in Lowsec and NPC Nullsec that haven't got cores, and I imagine probably won't have cores because they don't need that repair and refit because there's other structures in the system that already have a core. So I think there's still going to be a fair few that don't, but I think a majority of them heading on will begin to start having cores.
And one thing that I'm pretty sure this is the way it's going to work. It's kind of my gut feel right now, but I'm 99.99% sure I'm right. If you dock and you undock, your capacitor will not fill up either because that's part of the repair function. So I'm pretty sure, you know how like now if you're sitting on the undock of an NPC station and you get down to 10% shields and you dock and then undock, your shields go back to 100%. I don't think that will happen if there's no repair in the station or in the Citadel. I'm not exactly sure, but I'm pretty sure that's the way it's going to work.
Yeah, got it. And that's actually pretty important. It seems to me that the core really prevents any of the combat utilization of the structure, the stuff that you might use in a forward operating base, for instance.
Yeah, I know that my alliance has announced that not all structures will be tethered, and they've marked which structures are not going to be cored. And I'm sure most other big alliances have made similar decisions.
Yeah. Have you seen any of that, Kenneth? Or Sully? People deciding not to core their structures?
Yeah.
A few here and there, nothing, no large scale that I've seen really. Now, I do know that there are major alliances who had a list of stuff that, hey, we're going to take these 15 structures down next week. And they put this out a couple weeks ago. They're already down now. But, you know, these we're not going to bother to core. So we're not going to bother to have them because we don't want people to jump into them and die or something like that. So they just completely just took them down.
Right.
Wasn't worth their time.
So people don't get confused. That makes sense.
Yeah, the big thing I can foresee, at least in space in my area space, is if we have like an Astra house that is anchored as a clone bay, for example, it doesn't require a core because it's used for a specific thing. We have had a lot of structures unanchored recently, just because of the cores made a lot of Alliance leadership kind of go, okay, let's do a review. Do we need this structure? Do we need to put a core in this structure? And so they've just kind of gone through and made the decision of it's not really needed. Okay, we'll pull it down. So there's been a lot of that, and I think that's been the same across the entirety of Eve, is knowing whether they need that structure, making them do a check of, okay, do we need to core it? Do we not? Things like that.
Right. And so to be specifically clear about what doesn't work, interesting, the capacitor one I hadn't heard of. It's not written anywhere, but that makes some sense. It's hard to find here what doesn't work, but it's buried in here somewhere. Repair services disabled. Right here, without a core installed, ship fitting, tethering, and ship module repair services will be disabled. In addition to that, you probably, did you say that you think the docking won't fill up your capacitor?
Right. I think it either uses the ship fitting or the repair as a precursor to that type thing.
Oh, interesting.
And so I'm not sure that it'll do that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's a tricky one because even with NPC stations, this is the first time we've had this limitation put in. You know, even with old conquerable stations, when you destroyed those service modules, there were still things like the ship still did regen shield and capacitor, but this is with Citadels, this is something completely new. So it's kind of unproven ground. So we won't really know until after patch tomorrow whether or not these sort of things come in or what they was tied to.
Well, that's going to be interesting. I could see that one being important. There, I hope you guys can read that. It is hard to find what will shut off, so it's buried inside of here, required for existing structures. Really strange place. You'd think they'd bullet point these things out, but they didn't.
Yeah,
yeah, but in the grand scheme of things, that's pretty minor. You know, if it had changed the RF timers or something like that, I'm sure they've gotten more play. But I don't think they imagined a whole lot of structures out there that weren't either A, going to be taken down, or B, cored. So it was just a deterrent. Hey, this is what's going to happen to you. And like I said before, I know of probably 50 structures that have been taken down. And one of the things behind this was to limit the spam. And 50 less structures, although tiny in the overall grand scheme of New Eden, still less spam.
Yeah, you're saying CCP's idea was to create less spam in general, structures everywhere that weren't used.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. Lost you a little bit there, but you said correct. Yeah, so that was part of the idea. It seems like a couple things. One is we don't want to kill these structures. They're not worth it. Well, now they are. Now they have a 100% loot drop of something that's very sellable and very expensive. And I think you can sell these to the market. You can keep them, sell them to a friend, or you can turn them into the market. So they will sell. They have a 100% sell rate.
Yeah, there's NPC buy orders for them.
Yeah, which makes them, so it won't be like you're stuck with something that's useless. It will be worth exactly what you paid for it or more. It won't depreciate.
I thought it was still going to be worth a little bit less. So unanchoring your own structures will just lose you money anyway. That's what I thought.
The what now?
I thought it was worth a little bit less than you paid if you sell it to NPC buy orders. I thought selling it back was net loss, so you'd only make money by killing structures.
The only thing you lose is the tax. The locations for sale is a lot less available than the locations to buy, but most people would, I can imagine most groups that are killing these and getting the cores either plan to use them themselves, or they will take them to Jita and just put them up on the market for convenience of like the logistics side of nullsec, because there isn't one. It's not seeded in Jita 4.4. It's seeded in Perimeter. So quite easily, pilots could seed them in Jita for the NPC sale price plus the taxes and quite easily make the same amount, just on convenience for everyone else. But the only thing you do lose is the tax.
Okay, so I guess we'll see how much these NPC buyers will buy it back for. Again, you could just sell it to a different person that might need a core or whatever. But the point is, so the first thing is you get something for killing a structure now. So people are going to be on the hunt for structures. The second thing is they didn't want to see so many structures out there that are just not being used. So you're really only going to put a structure out if you're going to use it and you're going to benefit from it. Otherwise, you're just going to be losing money. Those are the two things I think that are part of this.
Yeah. A couple other things.
Sure.
If you install a core, it cannot be removed by any way, shape, or form. The only two ways to remove them are to unanchor it or blow it up. That's the only way to get the core out. And either way, it's 100% drop.
Interesting. So you can't take it out once you put it in. And you can't now, after a while ago now, but if you any new structure since I think last month or the month before,
October 13th.
October 13th, a while ago, yeah, you can't put any new structure up without a core, so it is mandatory.
And also, too, if you look at the sizes, if you blow up a Keep Star or a Satoyo, in order to retrieve the core, you're going to have a jump freighter or a freighter. It's the only two things that can loot that core. For the large ones, the Asbel and the Tatara, they both require either a DST, a jump freighter, a freighter, because they're 50,000 cubic meters. So there's going to be some strategy involved there to get those looted as well without getting blown up.
Yeah, I believe these are adjusted volume values as well, because originally I believe the Keepstar was I think it was 600,000 M3, the original plans.
Yeah, the CSM, we went round and round with CCP for the better part of 3 weeks, coming up with these with the prices and the sizes. I'm not going to get into that too much, but let's just say we're on like plan Z of sizes and prices.
Yeah, I remember some wormhole friend of mine were extremely outraged because they're like, how the hell do we get this in our wormhole? We can't take a freighter in.
Right. That was one of the big things. There's a Keepstar in a C2, and we were like, he can never core that because you can't take a ship that can hold the core in there. How can you possibly core this Keepstar? Like, oh yeah, okay. And then we started. That was about the start of our negotiations, and then we went from there.
Yeah. Well, your unfortunately your bad connection is creating some funny effects, but we'll just call it the Kenneth Feld remix.
Welcome to the country.
Yeah. So you guys, CSM had some input on how to balance the how much these things cost and how much they weigh and what ships can move them, and then the wormholers also had an adjustment made so they could actually core it up, which is. I remember that discussion happening.
Yeah, wormholers were definitely not forgotten in this round.
All right, good. So let's see. Is there anything else about cores? They're not mandatory to put into structures now, but there are going to be structures that are hampered. This has nothing to do with fuel and timers and the structure getting weaker in any way, right?
Yeah. One common misconception is a lot of people have said the structure will be forced into low power, the services will turn off, things like that. It only affects tethering, fitting, and ship and module repair. Those are the only three services that are affected. They're core station services as well. They're not like you add a service on. It doesn't affect any capacity for the structures themselves. A Keepstar will still be as strong as a Keepstar with a core. The only difference is if you have 100 Titans tethered on it, they won't be tethered. There's no change to the actual structure itself.
Okay, so they won't die faster. They won't drop all their loot, and all that kind of stuff is based on fuel and abandoned structures and low-powered structures. It's totally separate from this. Okay.
Yeah, correct.
Awesome. Is there anything else that we should know about cores before tomorrow? Like, one thing that comes to mind is these things are big, especially for big structures. They're big. So you're going to need a big ship to move it, and you're going to need maybe some security because people are going to be watching for these things, especially where they sell them and where they buy them, the NPC stations that do.
One thing though, if you're a large entity that has like 60 some Keepstars and you need 60 some of these cores at 30 billion a pop, that's 1.8 trillion ISK.
Yikes.
Yeah, I believe over the last month I've secured delivery of 19 Keepstar cores, I think, to various groups through jump freighter services and stuff. And I'm like, wow, that's a lot.
The other thing is too, if you say you have a Keepstar and it is not cored, I don't know this for certain, but I'll talk about how I think it's going to work later. If say you have the core just in the hangar, but not actually installed, and then that Keepstar gets attacked, you can install the core, say after it's in Shield RF, then you can install the core. That way your Titans can get tethering. But until that point, if you don't want to sync the ISK, you could just have it in there. And then if you're either going to give up that Keepstar or it never gets attacked, then you never have to put it in there. You just won't have the tether repair and the ship fitting. But you can install these at less than 100%, because typically when a Keepstar or any Citadel is less than 100% shields, you're very limited on what you can do for fitting and that kind of stuff. But one of the Keepstars that we dropped, I think it was in YZ9 or whatever, was after the 13th of October. And we lagged out so bad. There was actually 2 jump freighters jumped in. Both of them docked. Both of them were trying to take the seat so that they could install. And the goons shot the Keepstar all the way down to like 85% before we could get the core in to start the 15-minute timer. So that core was installed with like 85% structure. So I think the core can be installed at any time, any place, and at any level. So if you are going to go attack a structure, like, oh, this one's not cored, this is going to be easy, they won't defend it, and you put it into Shield RF and you come back for the armor timer, and all of a sudden that core absent or whatever it says goes away and the Sino goes up, you better hold on your butt, sunshine. You don't know what's coming. And and they instantly got tether back. So that could be I can see that more of a low sec trap. But I can see it coming at least, the first time. Once you put the core in there, then the gig's up. But I'm sure there's a few of them out there that people have plans for, all that highway there in Hematar and where all those gankers set up, because on all those base models, I can see a bunch of that coming into play down there. But that's something to be definitely wary of. If you see an uncored Citadel, all someone has to do is jump in the seat and they can instantly core it, and the defenders instantly get tether back.
Yeah, I did do some testing on this for that specific reason of, if we attack this structure and they put a core in, what happens? And you are correct in that there is no limit of when you can core it. It can be in the middle of being shot by 100 Titans. It can be in the middle of repairing. Or it could just be sat in space. There is no time you cannot install a core. Under attack, you can't refit Keepstars or Citadels or anything like that. But a core will always allow to be installed. There is nothing that will say you're not allowed to do this at this time.
And you can pre-move the core into the structure itself and store it there, or
for pre-existing structures, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
But for an anchoring structure,
right,
you can't dock until it's anchored, and normally the 15-minute timer would start, but you've got to Sino in after it anchors, but before the 15-minute starts, you have to Sino in, dock, and install the core, and then the 15-minute timer will start. Now, if it's a fort and low sec, you can warp the DST to it or whatever, but you can't dock until it's anchored. And in the old way, the 15-minute timer would start right away, but now that 15-minute timer doesn't start till the core is installed.
Got it. Okay. Question here from chat. There are 2 deploy types in the chart, deploy and deploy flex. What do they mean, and which structure uses which system?
So the deploy flex are things like anti-flex jump gates and Sino beacons and Sino jammers. They're considered more mobile structures, so they don't require cores because they're used for infrastructure purposes.
Yeah, aren't those technically called flex structures?
Yeah, exactly.
Believe, that is their line. Yeah. So there's only those 3. So any engineering, Citadel, or refineries are the standard on the left chart here. The flex ones are literally just jump bridges, sonar beacons, and sonar jammers. Those 3 structures count.
What do the flex structures have to do with cores?
They don't have cores.
They don't, right?
Correct.
So why are they
No cores, nothing.
Why are they even on this list? Is it just because CCP used the same infographic?
No, they just wanted to show the difference. See on the left-hand graphic where it says deploy, and then down in that bottom right it says 15-minute repair timer complete.
Yeah.
Does not start without core installed or something like that. And the other side doesn't have that. So they were just showing the difference between them.
Yeah. I believe originally when they put out the cores in the first patch of September, the flex structures did actually have a core absent logo on them as a bug. So that I think also led into this infographic of saying, actually, you guys, we made a mistake, and they don't have to have a core in here. Look. So I think that's also why it they separated out a bit more.
All right, because it's a little confusing. If you look at it, you're looking for why the flex structure would be up here. But that makes a lot of sense. They're showing you, as you pointed out, how one is different than the other. So flex structures don't have cores. All cores are going to be normal structures, which are your engineering complexes, your citadels, and these sorts of things. Thanks for answering that question. One more question. Will it be 100% drop rate if the core is not installed, but just in a hangar?
No,
and they'll go to asset safety.
Yeah, it acts like a regular asset. So if it's abandoned, it will drop. If it's not abandoned, asset safety.
So I see a strategy here for keep stars that already exist, and that is to bring a core in early, maybe have brought it already, store it in the structure, don't use it unless you have to, because you can't remove it after you install it, and literally wait for a shield timer to start getting triggered before you put it in.
Well, keep stars are a little bit different because especially, during the big war, Titans are used as defensive items. And the biggest advantage a keep star has is being able to tether your Titans to it. So I don't think they would ever consider a keep star defense without a core. I mean, it's just not going to happen.
Right. That'll never happen.
At the very least, a core available to install. Speaking on like 1DQ, for example, I foresee none of those Fortizars having their core installed until it's needed, because otherwise you've just got a big chunk of ISK in a structure that's kind of added to it. So I don't expect them to be done, but keep stars and things, they will at least have one available if it's not already installed.
And if it drops to asset safety, you wait 5 days, you send it to another structure and system, and you only have to pay 0.5% tax. So it's negligible as far as what you have to pay for tax.
Yeah. So just to be clear for the Jay Riverton who's asked, can the core be taken out at the last second? The answer is no. As Kenneth told us, there's only 2 ways that core can come out of a structure once it's put in. It's destruction or it's unanchoring.
And it's at the end of the unanchoring process. When it repackages and you can scoop it, that's when it spits out the core.
Oh, interesting. So if you were in, that also complicates extraction of keep star, right? Like if you take down and unanchor a keep star and it's cored, you're going to need 2 freighters.
Or 1 freighter, 1 jump freighter.
Oh, that fits in the jump freighter. Okay.
Correct. But it will not fit in a Rorqual.
Oh, interesting.
I believe a max expanded Sharon will be able to hold them, but I don't think a max expanded Fenrir will.
A Sharon is 1204.
Yeah, it's 1050.
Yeah.
So
okay. So almost any freighter will be able to hold both of those if you have the faction lows.
Yeah, it won't be ideal for the freighter's warp speed or anything like that, but it's just enough. If there's any fit in the structure, then something will have to be left behind. That's for sure.
Yeah, unanchoring of keep stars is very rare. I've unanchored a keep star before, and it's stressful. I've seen my sister keep star was unanchored by somebody else, and it was stolen in the process. Goonswarm tried to unanchor keep stars a little earlier in this war, a few weeks back, and they had 1 blown up in process and 1 actually stolen. So unanchoring a keep star is not a simple thing to do. The core will make it a little more complicated because you'll need to have a second driver for the core since it's so big.
Yeah, most groups, I imagine, when they begin these unopened processes with cores, will be, okay, you're here for the structure, you're here for the core and fit, because the structure itself is different in a different container, so it's less clicking for the pilots. It'll be getting them out, minimizing losses and things like that.
Yeah.
It's definitely something that will make unanchoring and withdrawing the structures that little bit harder, but also that little bit more, you require more protection to do so. As unanchoring structures is never fun, especially when you forget about it because it's such a long unanchor time.
It's a week. All right, Kenneth, is there anything else that we need to know about quantum cores? I think we covered it pretty well. We've covered it on previous shows too.
Yeah, and I'm sorry I can't watch Twitch on this poor internet out here. With any other questions coming up?
No problem. Any other questions for Kenneth? I have a few more questions for you myself, but it's on a different topic. But we'll look for more questions from chat if there are. My question for you is: we just had a huge battle. You're somebody that was around in BTAC-R days and even before. You were part of Pandemic Legion. You were somebody that helped them reconstitute their Titan fleet after it was trapped or destroyed inside of BTAC-R. That's some of your history. And of course, you've been playing this full time with Pandemic Legion. What are your thoughts on the M2 fight, both the armor timer and the hull timer, as far as like what happened and how damaging it was?
Yeah, I mean, while the armor timer was almost an even trade. That's just line them up and duke it out, and that is what it is. PL, we had all of our stuff replaced in roughly 3 days. Everyone was sitting in new Titans with implants ready to go. I don't know too much about the others, to be honest with you. I've just been focused on getting my guys and working with Headliner and making sure we're taken care of. As far as the hull timer, I mean, it is what it is. The server was working. I think the big thing that really got us bad was we were jumping from T5, which was already at 6,800 people, into M2, which was another 6,500 people. Now, CCP just returned to work today. Today was the end of their holiday break.
Wow.
So our first CSM meeting is Thursday, and I would imagine we're going to get a glimpse into kind of their findings. So I don't have any idea now. Anything I say now is strictly Kenneth Feld's gut feel. But I really think it was, a server that was already tie-dyed to hell, jumping to another server that was tie-dyed to hell. And that's why you had so many Ghost Titans. They tried to jump, they timed out, and they just got sent back home, not realizing they died in between. And, at the end of the day, CCP has said they're hands off on this. They have not touched anything during this war. They haven't moved anybody. What's happened has happened, and that's it. I know that from our side, there's a lot of people saying, hey, nothing worked. We should get all the Titans back. And there's some people on the other side saying, hey, all those Titans that they got back as Ghost Titans should all be taken away because we killed them all. There's kill mails for them, And so there's one side, there's the other side, and what's going to happen is probably somewhere in the middle, which is about what did happen. And CCP has not touched anything. There was a kind of an incident this morning that I'm not going to get into too much of on here, but I think there's some people out there that are scanning their ESI endpoints. They know where their assets are. They know where the bubbles are, and they're figuring out that, hey, I'm not in a bubble, and they're logging in and skedaddling, and people are mad because they can't get their dictors there and bubble them in time, and they're getting out. Now we don't even know it was a hostile or a friendly Titan, just someone jumped out. But we replayed the feedback from T5Z, and we're pretty sure he didn't jump into T5Z. So I don't know where they jumped to, and we don't know what alliance they were from or whatever. But there's definitely some ways to get out. The same way we got out of X-47. Because
UALX.
X-47, I'm sorry, UALX.
Yeah.
It threw our Titans all over the place. So then we're digging through all the assets to get the XYZ endpoints, find out where you are, and are you safe? Okay, log in, jump. And, there's a lot of people mad about that. But again, that was just a server thing. Now, CCP did move one Titan there. And when everybody complained about it, then they're like, okay, yep, we're not moving no more. You guys are on your own. And as far as I know, since that point in time, CCP have never touched big fleet fights. What happens with the server is what happens with the server. Good, bad, otherwise indifferent. That's it. And so that's basically where we are right now, just trying to figure out where everybody is and who we can get out when.
Yeah, I believe with that fight, the pilot in question that got moved out in his Titan actually got moved back as well. I believe it was determined that it was he was moved out and he wasn't meant to be, because CCP have had this precedent for a long time of they just don't get involved in these sort of things, because that way they don't have to worry about upsetting one side claiming that they've had CCP help, things like that. They just go, nope, we just wipe our hands. And I believe the Titan pilot that did get moved out did in fact get moved back into his previous position, which I find quite funny. That Titan pilot I believe he got a login pop-up saying, you've been moved, don't log him in unless you want to die.
Interesting.
Yeah, I do believe the one that got moved out did in fact get moved back, because it was there was a lot of outcry of people complaining, because I know there was a load of stuck petitions filed, because it was a plus of I believe there was a dev blog about it all those years ago.
Right. Okay. I didn't realize that had happened. Okay. Ghost Titans, for those that don't understand, is a Titan that made the jump from T5 to M2. M2 is where the battle was. T5 is where the staging was. So you start out in T5, you jump into where the battle is in, how could I just forget that? In M2, and then you appear, but your pilot doesn't appear and your modules don't appear. So when you get targeted and blasted, your Titan just gets destroyed quickly and it's dead, and a kill mail is produced. But the kill mail has nothing on it except the Titan. And when you log into the game, the Titan ends up being the way it was before you jumped in. So it's a ghost. Yeah, we have a little ghost kill mail symbol there. So that's what a ghost Titan is. So 100, and these are the numbers we had at one point. They may have changed, but 165 Titans jump in, and 90 of them end up back where they started. So they did die, or we think they died, but they also are alive back where they started. So that is over half of the Titans that jumped in. Not all of them stay ghosts, though. But go ahead.
Yeah, a couple of them, I believe, did in fact get removed. So Ghost Titans is a kind of, it's an unknown thing. It's all intents as a bug in Eve. It shouldn't happen, but it happens.
Kenneth,
due to the way
none of them got removed. There's been no action by CCP on that.
No, I don't mean removed by action of CCP. It's just like the server side going, okay, you're actually gone, and kind of removes it. Not an actional remove.
The big thing that happened is some of the Titans that died actually got an insurance payout, but then they got their Titan and all their modules back. And also some of the Titans that died dropped modules. Modules were looted, but the Titans showed back up with all their modules back. And CCP said very cleanly, we're not taking any insurance payments back. We're not changing any duplicated modules. We're not touching anything. What happened is what happened. That's what happened on the server. And have a nice day. And I think that's better. It's luck of the draw. Some days you're the windshield, some days you're the bug. And it was our turn to be the bug.
Yeah. I think as well, it's a good precedent in that they're continuing with their not getting involved, because it also saves them a lot of work and hassle. I just want to quickly say, the funniest bug, though, from this M2 fight was the bridging Titan from PL appearing in system. I think that has to be the funniest bug that I've seen in a while.
Yeah. And there was some Titans on the login screen said they were in M2 and they logged in and they were actually in T5Z.
Yeah.
So the game didn't even know where they were.
Yeah, and we assume, as Kenneth explained earlier, it's one full server communicating with another full server, and these things are timing out. And so there's a miscommunication, and that's why you exist in both places. So it was big. Did you expect that to happen, Kenneth? Nice dog, by the way. Did you expect? Did you expect that would happen? I mean, obviously, you don't want to stick a full 6,000 on top of another 6,000. We've never been there. I don't think that's what happened. I think a few thousand jumped into a 4,500 person server. In other words, you had 4,500 people in one server. There's room on that server, you would assume. And so you jump in another 1,000 or two. You still have some room. But did you expect it to act that way?
No, I expected it to work. It is good. Okay, so this is what I kind of expected. We'd jump in, they would DD 10 to 15 Titans, and you would just lose them off the top, and you consider that your charge to jump in. That's you were just going to lose those, but then the rest would load, and then you start slugging it out. And what we did, that Bridge Titan actually bridged a fleet in. The guy that owned the Bridge Titan actually bridged himself and his entire fleet, so they know it wasn't instead of bridge accident, because the fleet bridged. If you jump instead of bridge, the fleet doesn't go with you. So we know. And while the bridge was still up, that client crashed the desktop, and then it just showed up in M2. So even goons agreed that if there was ever a time for CCP to get involved, then that would be the time. But even myself, Billy, and the rest of the CSM on our side said, nope, don't touch it. What happened, happened, and we'll deal with it.
Wow.
But all that said, we bridged in a couple fleets just to see how the server would react. And the server was fine for 10% tie-dye. I mean, as fine as you can expect under those circumstances. And then that's when we made the call to jump in the big stuff. And as soon as we did that, it went to hell in a handbasket quick.
So you did put your toe in the water to see if it was warm enough.
Correct. Absolutely.
And then you said, okay, the water's warm. Let's go in. And you jump in, and it turns out the whole lake is full of ice or iced over, and you can't get through.
Yeah, or foil barracudas, however you want to look at it.
Yeah, totally. They chewed you up, right? But you end up on the beach, and you're half all right. Half of you still there. Well, exactly. I didn't know that you guys on CSM were like, we'll take the loss, don't mess with it. We don't want why would you do that? Why wouldn't you complain that this wasn't fair and you need your Titans back?
Well, okay. Well, first of all, we were only talking about that one single ship that bridged.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And then landed there. That was the only single ship that goons were like, we
won't contest.
Hey, yeah. Right. Yeah. And we were just like, nope, hands off, because the next time it happens, they may be the bug and we may be the windshield. It's just not having CCP touch it is just so much better for everybody.
Yeah. So no ambiguity. If it happens again, you know how to handle it. No ambiguity. Yeah. And so that guy that bridged a fleet over got sucked into his own vortex and lost his Titan.
No, he didn't lose it. It
came back.
It went to M2, but it E-warped. It was. I'm pretty sure it's back in T5Z now, because he was like at the sun or something. I knew where he was a week ago when he got out, but yeah. I mean, you can the ESI and tell where the asset is.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
I'm right in thinking, Kenneth, the first battle of M2 really did have an impact on like that decision to, okay, we'll be willing to lose 20 Titans here. Do you think if the first battle went as previous Keepstar fights have gone, insane tie-dye, things like that, 4 to 5 minute server calls, do you think if that had happened on the first fight, the second fight would have gone much differently, or do you think it would have been roughly the same?
I'm not exactly sure what you're asking, but I mean, the first fight was fine. I mean, yeah, it sucked. It was tie-dye, But I mean, the server reacted as well as you could expect under those circumstances, and we were expecting the same. And we knew we had a significant numeric advantage, and we were willing to trade again.
I think maybe one of the things that we've kind of kicked around was the idea that the fight went so well the first time that a lot of people came back to the game to participate in the second fight, which was going to be even bigger. And that's why it was so well attended. Those are big groups that went after each other. And that was because of what we know now as two servers being full, being a circumstance, a situation that creates weird circumstances, didn't go very well. So maybe if the first fight hadn't gone well, the second fight wouldn't have been as big.
Yeah, what was it? Like, I think if you add up T5Z, 1DQ, and M2, there was over 15,000 pilots total. And it was like 30% of the entire game was in those three systems. The little blurb is in the dev blog.
Yeah.
But, if everybody had jumped in and the server had held, it would have been over 15,000 people from what I remember.
Yeah. One caveat I always say on this to make it clear, that's what would have happened total with everybody that jumped in. We don't know when those people would have jumped in, and we don't know where from. So they could have been Imperium, they could have been Pappy, they could have been third party. They also could have come in way later. But it's not like that tells you that that Pappy FCs try to jump in 6,000 on top of another 6,000, because that's ridiculous. Nobody would do that has any experience at all.
Right. And then you'd have the little guys with 50 dreads all hunkered together in case someone tried to take a gate and you were going to gank them or something like that. So, even though we had 6,800 in T5Z, only maybe 4,000 were destined to go to the fight. The other 2,000 were, someone with two Titans and they only wanted to put one in initially and see how it held, or, someone quad boxing some extra dreads or something like that. So they weren't necessarily all destined to go in all in one shot. They could have been for other uses, bridge Titans, all that kind of stuff. And I would imagine 1DQ was pretty much the same. But I'm you'd have to ask one of those guys for sure.
Yeah. But I think that statement is a little misleading, and that's why I keep putting that on there. I think it could have been made clear. It's made at the very end here, and it's an astounding admission that if all the ships that wanted to get in there would have gotten in there, it would have been twice as big as our record. And that makes it sound like a ridiculous notion, but that they need to break that apart and say, like, the servers had trouble when this many people tried to get in at the same time or something. Otherwise, it looks like Pappy were idiots and tried to jump in 6,000 on top of 4,000, which isn't what happened. Okay, what do you think of the state of the war right now, Kenneth? Do you have any comments on where we're at?
From our side, as far as I know, nothing's changed. There's still some people stuck in system, but we're fighting every day. And if they think we're leaving, they're sadly mistaken.
Oh yeah, are you in it for the long haul, whatever it is?
I don't give a shit if we stay here till 2023.
Aren't you one of those guys that wants to get everybody back to your home territory so you can go back to industrial things?
Nope. I'm good.
That's not how it works, right?
Nope.
Yeah. I wonder about that though. Because you do stuff that takes a lot of planning and industry and all that. When you go on deployment, I mean, PL, when they deploy, they're constantly moving around. Do you have to chase the deployment in order to make supplies, or do you make them at your home bases and then transport them?
No, we're good.
Not gonna answer that one.
Yeah, we're doing okay.
All right. I thought that would be interesting, but we'll talk after the war.
I will tell you this. I have not built anything since the war started. that's how prepared we were for this war.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. It's believable. All right, cool. All right, what other pieces of news do we have here? Oh, by the way, Kenneth, if you want to take off, that's fine. Thanks for hanging out with us and telling us about the course and everything. I don't want to hold you if you need to go, but you're welcome to stay as well. We have a little
I think I'm going to leave. The Ohio State Bama game is on. It's already past the first quarter. I haven't seen any of it. So.
Don't let me hold you up from the game. Thanks for coming by.
Y'all have a good night.
All right, thanks. All right, everybody. That was Kenneth Feld, master builder, CSM guy, all around smart player in general. And that is a reminder that the quantum cores are tomorrow. That's the deadline. So downtime tomorrow. Make sure you put your cores in if you want that structure to function the way it's functioning now. Otherwise, it will lose some functionality. All right, we talked about the timer. Let's go to a few other things here. I don't know. Gregorian, you're still here. What else do we have?
Well, we had the Alliance Tactical Supremacy did a year in review video that they released over the weekend.
You got a link for that?
Yeah, I gave it to you, the link to you, and it sounded like you liked the video.
Yeah, I just didn't grab the link. I'll grab it now. It was great. I thought they did some 3D in combat, some 3D mouse movements in combat. And I haven't seen that before. Ron USMC is really good at using the 3D mouse. But in here, they were close up. You can sense some of the scale, which I thought was quite good. Let me grab that video.
And there's currently a fight over the T5Z iHub, which I'm currently in.
Oh, yeah?
But
how is
since
that going?
it's an ongoing fleet, so I'm not going to comment any further.
Okay. There were some things attacked in... Oh, where is it? I want to be more precise. Is it Catch? Yeah, Catch.
Yeah.
What's going on in Catch?
There were a few structure timers. It sounded like
okay, as imagining Gregorian's probably trying to shoot people at the moment. So it seems like the Imperium have had a kind of a disruption campaign going on in Catch and Esoteria and things like that. And today there was a Tatara, Asbel, and a Fortizar destroyed in Catch by various different Pappy alliances, including Test Alliance. So looks like there is some disruption going on in the backlines. I believe the combined total is around about 36 billion in these three structures.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've gotten the impression that the Imperium wants to drive a wedge into Legacy to try to convince some of the smaller Legacy alliances to leave the war as an important part of their strategy.
It looks like that's where the damage is. Brave looks pretty intact over here in the green. They look to be pretty intact. But over here you had Watchmen. They seem to be gone.
Well, they disbanded and most of their corporations merged into other legacy alliances a couple weeks ago.
Right. So it's working. You're not getting rid of the players, but you're getting rid of the alliance. But it looks like there's some other... I don't know if this is all former Watchmen territory. Or
yeah, Dreadbomb, I think, picked up most of the Watchmen Sov.
I don't see that they installed anything, though, because the iHubs, there's no owners for iHubs here. Let's see if we look at TCUs.
Yeah, at zero is Dreadbomb, and I think I saw them pick up a lot of TCUs.
Yeah, Dotland could be outdated in terms of the iHub ownership and stuff. It does take a little while for Dotland to update.
Okay, so, interesting. Is that an aggressive action by Dreadbomb, or are they allied?
They're not allied with Legacy.
No, Dreadbomb was originally in the campaign war for Pappy side. However, I think it was about maybe a month and a half after the war began, they withdrew and basically said, we don't want to be part of this. It's not fun for us. So they kind of withdrew back and have since, they've been harassing over Fire and Legacy as well, just trying to cause disruption and get kill mails and things like that, what they can do.
Yeah, that was my impression, that they're not necessarily hostile, but they're not friendly either. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in that neighborhood in the future. Here's the group you talked about, Tactical. What's their name? Tinkle?
Tactical Supremacy.
Tactical Supremacy. They're this group over here.
Yeah, they're an Australian alliance. Until late in 2019, they were part of Legacy, but they left to go off to do their own thing.
Yeah, so I'm going to play a little of this. I'm not going to play the music for reasons, but let's look at this video a little bit, and then I'll put the link in there. Some stuff looks pretty set up, but it becomes very cinematic in a way I haven't seen a video become cinematic yet. And so the editing was really good in this, especially when you look at the music and their music choices and how they linked the action with the music. It works really well. But they really conveyed something that I haven't seen in EVE for a long time as far as videos go that people make, and that is the sense of scale. You can feel that with some of the imagery that you're going to see in a few minutes. And I'll go ahead and fast forward just a little bit. Look at that Titan coming in, for instance. You can sense that that's in the deep background, and it's gigantic. So you get the sense that it's gigantic. But there's some shots in here that are action shots that just feel great. Like whoever's working the camera on these, those are Hells coming in and Nixes. Try to sharpen up the video. This might take a second, but I'm trying to get the best quality video I can get there.
For those wondering about the T5, there has been a Minakawa from Goonswarm Destroyed that I believe was started. It's a very old Minakawa fit because this pilot still has a Sino fit on it. So he's not undocked this Minnow in many, many months. Right,
when Sinos could be used by any ship. Yeah, so as you can see, there's a lot of really good camera work in here. It's very cinematic, and this part here is dramatic, but it's synced to music, which really works. This is probably test server footage, but yeah, this really works. I liked it. So whoever made this just did a great job. I'll go ahead and put that in so you guys can check it out on your own. I think it's definitely worth it. All right. So anything else that you guys have, Gregorian?
Oh yeah, Code disbanded.
Oh yeah, Code. Oh, this is my favorite part. Look at that. You can sense the size of that. Did you see that? You could sense the size of that dreadnought as it was exploded.
Yeah. The Code change is an interesting one. As far as I'm aware, Code isn't actually disbanding, but it's more...
It's a name change.
There's AFK leadership from James 315, so some of the corps inside aren't happy with that, so they wanted to do take it in a different way. I believe a large majority of their active membership, though, is moving over to this New Alliance security dot. But as far as I'm aware, Code itself isn't going to disband, but I'm just not sure where they're going to situate after this shift around.
I have some information there. One of those guys wrote me, but I don't know. There's a lot of information on this, and it'll seep out probably through Reddit, so we could just let that go. But let's see if I can just find some information on where they're going.
Yeah, what we can tell now is there was some sort of internal dispute in Code, and several people, including the main leader, left to start a new alliance.
Right. ACO, I think, is being followed to a new alliance or something like that. Anyway, it's what can I say? It's not a group that I usually cover, so I haven't really paid attention to it. We don't mind ganking and stuff, but Code is a little special in that they do things that puts them on the verge of griefing. Do they still do that? I think they do. So we don't really cover them.
It's hard to say. Like all big groups, there's outliers and things that can give negative images, but yeah, the reforming of them, whether it's a disbanding or just the active member base of reforming under the new alliance, I don't think their core target is going to change. I think they're still going to look to do the same tasks as before.
Yeah, I don't know. I got a bunch of information here. I'll need to sift through it. I just haven't looked. But thanks Daco for sending it. Someone else sent me information as well. Someone anonymous. Oh, great. And I think they'll probably put out a press release or something. They seem to be on that path. Okay.
I think if it actually is the end of Code, CCP should put up a monument in the Halima system because Code is the new Halima code of conduct.
Well, it's not the end of Code. Most of those guys are going to just change their identity to something else. But yeah.
Yeah, time will tell over the next couple of weeks on what's going to happen with the new group, with the old. A lot of things will change up, so it'll be interesting to see how they settle out. And I'm sure Code are normally very public with the information. There's a lot of posts on Reddit and things that they generally put out as well as on the forum. So I imagine there won't be any shortage of access into this information.
Right. All right, guys. Anything else that you've seen out there?
Nope, that's all from me, really. Can't think of anything else off the top of my head.
Thanks for staying up, man. I appreciate it. Okay, then. We will go ahead and end the show there. We'll be back. Sorry we skipped the last 3 days of last week. I decided that I just didn't want to be on screen streaming for that time. And then I went to Open Comms and we had a show on Open Comms I thought was quite good, and even the after show was quite good. Grath came on at the end of the after show. I think we had some discussion there, but it's been a really strange time in especially in the United States for us politically and in our real lives. So it just didn't feel like talking about video games was in the mix. What we were able to do, and what we do all the time, is we have a politics channel and Talking in Stations. It's for real life politics from around the world. And so we had about 10, 15 guys in there like 24/7 just monitoring news and stuff, which is what we do. So sometimes we switch to real life, and unfortunately that was one of the weeks. So sorry we didn't get the last 3 shows out. There also wasn't too much news, if I recall, last week. So there it is. But we were back Sunday and we did our Sunday presentation, which was a great show. I'm about to put the podcast out now. It was 2 hours and 15 minutes of, I thought, really good content, reviewing everything that's happened over the week, and also talking about the Winter Nexus. And now that it's concluded, we also talked about some wormhole stuff. So it was a nice range of different stuff. Yeah. All right, well, it's good to see you guys again. We'll see you again tomorrow. Stay tuned. We'll go ahead and find someone to raid. Take care, everybody.